The power of silence, achieving more by saying less. Introduction. The power of saying less. In a world overwhelmed by constant noise, endless chatter, and an ever-increasing flow of information, the art of thoughtful, intentional communication has become one of the most valuable and rare skills a person can master. Everywhere you turn, whether in your personal life, at work, or even in the media, you're bombarded with messages, some meaningful, some trivial. The sheer volume of noise can make it difficult to distinguish the messages that truly matter, let alone have your own voice heard in the chaos. But what if, instead of contributing to this overwhelming flood of words, you could stand apart by communicating with precision, clarity, and quiet confidence? What if you could achieve more by saying less? This book is for anyone who has ever felt that words, when used poorly, can dilute their message, diminish their influence, or cause misunderstandings. Whether you're leading a team, negotiating a deal, addressing a crowd, or having a one-on-one conversation, how you communicate determines the outcome of nearly every interaction. Effective communication isn't about the volume of your voice or the number of words you use, it's about the impact of what you say. And sometimes, the most powerful messages are the ones delivered in silence or with only a few carefully chosen words. The concept of quiet confidence. Quiet confidence isn't about being shy or introverted, nor is it about holding back in a way that undermines your ability to speak your truth. It is about recognizing the power in restraint, the strength in brevity, and the influence that comes from a calm, deliberate approach to communication. Quiet confidence is an ability to express yourself clearly and effectively without overwhelming your audience with extraneous words or unnecessary noise. It's the ability to command attention without raising your voice or dominating a conversation. It's the subtle but profound art of communicating with intent, purpose, and emotional intelligence, allowing you to foster connection and influence outcomes without the need to overtalk or over-explain. In the following chapters, we will explore how to cultivate this form of communication that emphasizes quality over quantity, clarity over clutter, and connection over confrontation. We will dive into various elements that enhance your communication, starting with the fundamental principle that saying less can actually help you achieve more. You'll discover that each word, pause, gesture, and tone has power that can shape conversations, guide decisions, and deepen relationships. The challenge of overcommunication. We live in an age of constant information overload. Our digital devices demand attention at all times, offering up a never-ending stream of notifications, messages, emails, and social media updates. In such an environment, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that more communication is always better. After all, isn't it true that in order to be heard, we must constantly talk, post, share, and publish? Isn't more information the key to getting ahead, making an impression, and advancing in life? However, while technology and media have made it easier to communicate, they've also contributed to a paradox. More communication does not necessarily lead to better communication. In fact, it often leads to confusion, distraction, and a lack of focus. Think about the last time you tried to have a deep conversation with someone while their phone was constantly pinging. Or the last time you read a long email or message that left you more confused than before you read it. The abundance of words, often hastily written or thoughtlessly spoken, can obscure the very message we are trying to convey. Effective communication is not about filling silence with words, nor is it about forcing your point through a flood of information. It's about ensuring that every word you speak, every message you send, and every gesture you make has a clear purpose, is aligned with your intentions, and has the desired impact on your audience. The transformative power of brevity. Throughout this book, we will explore the concept of brevity, the ability to convey your ideas in a concise, clear, and impactful way. The power of brevity lies in its ability to engage an audience without overwhelming them. When you speak less, but with precision and care, you allow your message to stand out and resonate deeply. Brevity requires you to strip away the unnecessary, leaving only what is essential for understanding and action. It forces you to think critically about what really matters and what will make the most impact. But brevity doesn't mean sacrificing depth. Instead, it means focusing your message on the core of what you want to convey. It's about making sure that every word serves a purpose, and that you communicate with clarity, leaving no room for confusion or ambiguity. The goal is not just to talk less, but to make what you say more meaningful. Strategic silence, the unsung hero of communication. One of the most powerful yet underappreciated tools in communication is silence. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a strategic tool that, when used effectively, can amplify your message and increase your influence. When you pause at the right moments, your words take on greater weight. Silence can create a sense of anticipation, allow your listeners time to reflect on what you've said, and give them space to digest important points. In contrast, speaking continuously can overwhelm your audience, causing them to tune out rather than engage with your message. Silence also enhances emotional connection. In conversations where emotions run high, a well-timed pause can diffuse tension and give both parties time to calm down and reflect. In this way, silence becomes an essential part of empathetic and emotionally intelligent communication, allowing you to respond with sensitivity and care. Choosing the right words, the power of precision. Effective communication is also about making wise choices, not just in what you say, but how you say it. Every word carries meaning, and its impact can be magnified depending on how and when it is used. In the chapters ahead, we will explore how the power of word choice, how you phrase your thoughts, can either enhance or diminish your message. You will learn to choose words that resonate with your audience, that reflect your intent with clarity, and that align with your values and goals. But effective communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening. The act of truly listening to others, understanding their perspective, and responding thoughtfully is just as important as the words you speak. When you actively listen, you create space for meaningful dialogue and open the door to trust and connection. A holistic approach to communication. To communicate with quiet confidence is to take a holistic approach to how we connect with others. It involves the interplay of verbal and nonverbal communication, words, tone, body language, and the emotional intelligence behind them all. It requires an understanding of how to build trust, how to use silence as a tool, and how to listen with intention. Through a balanced combination of these elements, you will discover how to communicate with both clarity and compassion, influence and empathy. In this book, we will not only focus on how to communicate more effectively, but also how to use communication as a tool for influence and positive change. Whether you're a leader looking to motivate a team, a professional striving to navigate challenging negotiations, or an individual wanting to build stronger relationships, the principles in this book will help you communicate with intention, foster trust, and make a lasting impact. A new way forward. As we move through the chapters, I invite you to reflect on your own communication style. Are there places in your life where you speak too much and don't listen enough? Are you overwhelmed by the noise around you? Do you feel that you could achieve more by saying less? Quiet confidence, the ability to communicate with intention and power, is something that anyone can cultivate, whether you're naturally extroverted or introverted, whether you lead a team of hundreds or converse with friends in small groups. By the end of this book, you'll have a toolkit of strategies, insights, and techniques to help you achieve more by saying less. You'll learn how to craft messages that resonate deeply, use silence to your advantage, and choose words that influence outcomes. You will discover that the key to powerful communication lies not in speaking louder or longer, but in speaking with purpose and precision. This is the transformative power of silence, the ability to communicate thoughtfully, intentionally, and confidently, allowing you to achieve far more than you ever thought possible. Now, let's begin the journey to mastering the art of saying less and achieving more. Chapter 1. The Art of Brevity. In a world dominated by soundbites, rapid-fire exchanges, and an overload of information, the art of brevity has become both a powerful tool and a necessary skill. Communication, at its core, is about conveying a message, an idea, a belief, or a perspective, to another person. And yet, in our modern age, we often fall victim to the idea that more is better. More words. More explanations. More data. But in truth, the most effective communicators are often the ones who understand that saying less can achieve far more. The power of precision. There's a saying that less is more. In communication, this concept holds a profound truth. When we focus on precision and clarity, we find that our messages become not only more digestible, but also more powerful. Instead of bombarding others with a torrent of information, brevity enables us to deliver messages that are direct, impactful, and memorable. At the heart of precision is the understanding that not every detail needs to be shared. The more we can distill our thoughts to their essence, the more likely we are to hold our audience's attention and have a lasting impact. Just as an artist would carefully select brushstrokes to create a masterpiece, a skilled communicator picks their words carefully, knowing that each one carries weight. The key to this precision is stripping away the excess, the unnecessary words, phrases, and ideas that cloud the main point. Whether in writing or speaking, when we say less, we give our audience the opportunity to hear exactly what we want them to hear, without distractions or confusion. The goal is not to dilute the message, but to refine it to its most essential form, making every word count. When you embrace precision, you shift from being a talker to a communicator. This subtle distinction means that instead of filling the space with words, you are filling it with purpose. Precision doesn't just enhance your message, it clarifies it, allowing your audience to grasp it more easily and act upon it more confidently. Crafting concise messages. Conciseness isn't simply about cutting down the length of your communication, it's about focusing on the essence of your message and eliminating anything that doesn't directly support it. Crafting concise messages requires a strategic approach, one that forces you to evaluate each word and its relevance to the central point you're trying to make. One way to do this is by developing the habit of asking yourself, what's the most important point I need to convey here, and how can I say this in the fewest words without losing its meaning or impact? It's not about sacrificing clarity or skipping essential information, but rather distilling your thoughts to their core components. Start by identifying the key idea you want your audience to walk away with. Is it a call to action, core insight? A new perspective? Once you've pinpointed this central message, everything else in your communication should serve to support or reinforce it. The art of summarizing, keeping it short without losing depth. One of the most powerful techniques for achieving conciseness is summarization. The ability to summarize a complex idea in a few sentences or even a few words requires both a deep understanding of the material and the discipline to filter out superfluous details. To do this effectively, follow these steps. Clarify your objective. Before you begin speaking or writing, clearly define your goal. What do you want your audience to know, feel, or do as a result of your message? By having a clear objective, you avoid wandering into irrelevant information that detracts from your main point. Structure your message. Organize your thoughts in a simple structure, typically an introduction, the key points, and a conclusion. Aim to distill each section to its most important component, leaving out unnecessary explanations or background information. Use simple language, avoid jargon or complex terms when simpler words will do. The more straightforward your language, the easier it is for your audience to understand your message. Edit ruthlessly. After you've written or spoken your initial draft, take a step back and look for areas where you can cut. Eliminate redundancies, cut filler words, and remove tangents that don't serve your main point. This process might feel like you're reducing your message, but in fact, you're refining it to its most powerful form. One of the hallmarks of a great communicator is their ability to take complex concepts and make them accessible and actionable. Think of the power of a well-crafted headline. It's not just short, it's focused, and every word serves a purpose. The same principle applies to your conversations, presentations, and writing. Quality over quantity. There's a pervasive myth in our society that in order to be taken seriously, we must talk more, explain more, and offer more. However, true influence is not found in the sheer volume of what we say, but in the quality of our communication. Focusing on quality over quantity means that every word you speak is meaningful, thoughtful, and purposeful. In communication, it's important to recognize that less can be more in both content and delivery. By speaking less, you invite more attention to your message. When people aren't overwhelmed by an excessive amount of information, they're able to focus more clearly on the message itself. In fact, the more concise and impactful your message, the more likely your audience is to remember it and act upon it. Speaking less also forces you to be more intentional with your words. Instead of filling the space with filler or unnecessary explanations, you become more deliberate in your communication. you learn to resist the temptation to over-explain, which often leads to confusion, and instead, you allow the power of simplicity to shine through. Think of some of the most iconic speeches or quotes in history. They are not long, complicated, or full of intricate language. Instead, they are clear, direct, and purposeful. The simplicity of their structure allows the message to resonate with power and clarity. Overcoming the fear of silence. One of the main reasons people often overcommunicate is the fear of silence. Silence can feel uncomfortable, especially in conversations or situations where we feel the pressure to perform or fill gaps. However, silence is not an enemy of effective communication, rather, it's a companion that enhances your message. When you embrace brevity, you may find that moments of silence become more powerful. Rather than rushing to fill the silence with more words, allow it to settle. Give your audience time to process what you've said and reflect on its meaning. This brief pause creates space for deeper understanding and can heighten the impact of your message. Silence also signals confidence. When you speak with brevity and then allow a moment of silence, you demonstrate that you are not desperate for approval or attention. You are confident in what you have said and trust that your message will land. Conclusion: mastering brevity for maximum impact. Mastering brevity is about more than just speaking less, it's about speaking with intention. It's about understanding that words are powerful, but only when they are used thoughtfully and purposefully. By embracing brevity, you are not diminishing your message, you are enhancing it, making it more impactful and memorable. As you move forward in this book, you'll continue to explore how other elements of communication, such as silence, word choice, and body language, can enhance your ability to communicate effectively. But it all starts with the art of brevity. By learning how to say less and mean more, you will develop a more powerful, persuasive, and influential communication style that commands attention, fosters connection, and drives results. The next time you find yourself preparing to speak or write, remember, you don't need to fill the space with words. Instead, focus on clarity, precision, and impact. By saying less, you will achieve far more. Chapter 2. Strategic use of silence. In the cacophony of the modern world, where voices are raised in conversation, on social media, and across platforms of every kind, silence is often seen as a void. It's the space between words, a break in the action that some feel compelled to fill with noise. Yet, silence is not an absence. It is a powerful tool in communication, one that, when used strategically, can amplify your message, command attention, and deepen your connection with others. This chapter will explore how you can use silence deliberately in your communication to create impact, build rapport, and craft a more persuasive narrative. From the power of well-timed pauses to the way silence can heighten anticipation, you will learn to harness this often overlooked resource to your advantage. The impact of well-timed pauses. Silence is often more eloquent than words. When used effectively, pauses create moments of reflection, allowing the listener to digest your words and absorb their meaning. A pause is not an interruption or awkward gap in conversation, it is a deliberate break that gives your message weight. It's in these silences that the depth of your thoughts can be felt. The power of a well-timed pause is perhaps best understood in the context of public speaking, where dramatic silence can change the entire dynamic of a presentation. Imagine a speaker delivering a critical point, pausing briefly, allowing the message to settle in the minds of the audience. This pause allows the audience to process what was just said, makes them hang on to the next word, and forces them to be present in the moment. In conversations, pauses can have a similar effect. Instead of immediately jumping in with another comment, a pause can give the other person space to continue their thoughts, which shows respect for their perspective. It can also increase the significance of your next words, making them feel more deliberate and thoughtful. The psychological impact of silence: when you pause, you signal confidence. You're telling your audience that you don't need to rush or over-explain. This moment of silence gives them time to consider your message more carefully. Studies show that people are more likely to remember and reflect upon a message that is followed by silence than one that is quickly followed by more words. Silence draws attention, and it invites others to fill the space with their own thoughts, creating a richer, more meaningful exchange. Creating anticipation. One of the most powerful effects of silence is its ability to create anticipation. When we are engaged in conversation or listening to a presentation, we are often eager to hear what comes next. By introducing silence at the right moment, you can build a sense of expectation that keeps your audience on the edge of their seats. Consider the dramatic pause in storytelling, where a pause heightens the tension and compels the listener to anticipate what will happen next. In this way, silence can control the flow of information and hold the audience's attention. It makes them eager to hear more, to grasp the next idea, and to stay engaged with your message. Building suspense in communication. This principle is particularly useful when delivering a speech, making a proposal, or having a one-on-one conversation. By strategically leaving space between important ideas or statements, you can prompt others to lean in, to wonder, and to remain focused on your next words. The silence itself conveys something important, that what you're about to say matters. The silence primes your audience, preparing them to absorb your message more fully. Anticipation is also about creating a psychological effect. When a speaker pauses before delivering a key piece of information, the audience naturally begins to guess what will come next. This builds a bond of engagement, where the listener feels connected and invested in the outcome. For instance, in a business presentation, a well-placed pause before revealing a critical figure or conclusion can heighten the impact of that information. It allows the listeners to prepare themselves mentally, making the eventual revelation more powerful. Building tension and drama. In many forms of communication, whether in a speech, a negotiation, or an emotional conversation, there is value in using silence to add tension. This is where you can use pauses, not just to add suspense, but to create an emotional response from your audience. Silence has the potential to stir feelings of curiosity, suspense, or even discomfort, and all of these reactions are tools that can draw attention to your message. When speaking, people tend to rush through uncomfortable moments, whether that's a difficult conversation, a heavy pause, or a complex thought. However, when you intentionally embrace these moments of silence, you give your message emotional weight. The space between your words becomes as important as the words themselves. Silence as a tool of tension. One effective use of tension is in negotiations. Imagine you've made an offer or proposed a solution, and instead of filling the air with a justification or explanation, you allow the other person to respond to what's been said. By holding back, you're leaving them room to think, perhaps reconsider, or even question. This moment of silence often forces the other party to act, to fill the silence with a counteroffer or clarification. In many cases, silence in negotiation can lead to better terms or a more favorable outcome because it makes the other party think harder about their position. Similarly, in emotional conversations or moments of conflict, silence can act as a cooling mechanism. When emotions are high, speaking more might escalate tension. A pause, on the other hand, can provide a moment for reflection, giving both parties a chance to collect their thoughts and respond more thoughtfully. When you allow a pause in a moment of heated exchange, you demonstrate control and emotional intelligence, preventing rash words that could harm the relationship. Silence in nonverbal communication. Silence is not limited to what's spoken or left unsaid verbally, it is also communicated through our body language. When you pause in conversation, your body language should align with this silence, as it can reinforce the message you are trying to convey. In conversations, for instance, your posture and facial expressions during a pause can communicate just as much as words. A slight shift in your stance, a softening of your expression, or a simple nod can convey empathy, thoughtfulness, and attentiveness. These silent cues enhance the emotional resonance of the pause and make it more meaningful. How nonverbal cues enhance silence. In addition to giving verbal messages weight, nonverbal communication during silence can enhance understanding and trust. For example, if you're sharing a vulnerable thought, and then you pause to let the other person absorb it, a comforting gesture, a gentle touch, a smile, or an open posture, can express empathy without saying a word. This kind of silence, supported by nonverbal communication, can deepen your connection with others and build rapport. Also, a well-timed silence, paired with calm and composed body language, signals confidence. It shows that you are not anxious or pressured to speak, and that you are comfortable with allowing space for the message to sink in. The social dynamics of silence. silence can also shift the dynamics of a conversation in a social setting. When everyone is talking at once, and someone pauses, it can subtly alter the direction of the conversation. This can happen either by creating space for others to contribute, or by signaling that you have something important to say. In both cases, silence allows the natural flow of conversation to unfold, making it more inclusive and engaging. In a group discussion, for example, the individual who masters silence is often seen as more thoughtful and confident. Rather than jumping into every conversation, they listen, consider, and then respond. The ability to use silence to thoughtfully interject can establish you as a leader in group settings, as people will come to see you as someone who speaks only when necessary, and when you do speak, it's worth listening to. Conclusion: harnessing the power of silence. Silence is not the absence of communication, it is the presence of intention. When used strategically, silence can enhance your message, build relationships, and influence outcomes. The key is to embrace silence as a tool rather than something to be feared or avoided. Well-timed pauses create space for reflection, anticipation, and tension, all of which enrich the communication experience. In the chapters that follow, we will explore how silence works in tandem with word choice, body language, and emotional intelligence to elevate your communication. The more you learn to harness the power of silence, the more influence you will have in your personal and professional interactions. By saying less, you will achieve more, capturing attention, deepening understanding, and leaving a lasting impact without uttering a single unnecessary word. Chapter 3. Choosing words wisely. Communication is an art, and the words we choose are our brushstrokes. Just as an artist selects the right colors to create a masterpiece, a skilled communicator chooses their words with precision to craft a message that resonates deeply. In this chapter, we will delve into the power of word choice, exploring how the language we use can influence perception, foster connection, and drive action. We'll uncover the psychology behind words, how to use language to your advantage, and how to eliminate the clutter that distracts from your true message. By learning to select words more deliberately, you can ensure that your communication is both clear and compelling, impactful with every phrase and sentence. The influence of word choice. Words carry power. Each word you use conveys more than just its literal meaning, it carries an emotional tone, a sense of urgency, and a specific intent. The language you choose in any given situation shapes how your message will be received, how others will interpret your intentions, and even how they will act upon it. Think about the difference between these two phrases: we need to discuss this problem. Let's work together to solve this challenge. While both statements may appear similar on the surface, their subtle difference in wording sets the tone for the conversation. The first phrase, discuss this problem, can suggest a focus on the issue at hand, perhaps invoking a sense of negativity or frustration. The word problem often evokes a feeling of something broken that needs fixing. On the other hand, the second phrase, solve this challenge, reframes the conversation in a more positive light. The word challenge implies that the situation is an opportunity for growth, and work together promotes collaboration and unity. Psychology of language, words can trigger specific emotional responses. For instance, consider the words difficult versus complex. Both can describe something that is hard to do, but difficult tends to carry a heavier, more discouraging connotation, while complex implies something that is intricate and perhaps more worthy of attention and effort. Language shapes our perceptions and feelings, and by understanding this, you can select words that motivate, inspire, and encourage the right response. It's also important to recognize how cultural and personal context influences word choice. Certain phrases may resonate differently with different audiences, and what sounds motivating to one person may come across as patronizing or distant to another. As you become more attuned to these subtleties, you will be able to adapt your language to suit the emotional landscape of your audience, ensuring that your message lands with the desired impact. The power of positive and precise language. One of the most effective ways to enhance your communication is to choose words that not only convey your ideas, but also inspire positive action. Positive language promotes cooperation, trust, and optimism, creating an atmosphere where people feel encouraged to take the next step. On the flip side, negative language can foster resistance, defensiveness, and doubt. The art of framing, For instance, consider the difference between saying, "You need to stop making mistakes." Let's focus on improving accuracy. The first statement, while perhaps well-intentioned, focuses on the negative aspect, the mistakes that need to be corrected. It may trigger feelings of shame or inadequacy, inadvertently putting the listener on the defensive. In contrast, the second statement invites collaboration and focuses on improvement. It encourages the listener to take ownership of the solution, creating a sense of forward momentum rather than dwelling on past errors. In any conversation, whether you're motivating a team or guiding an individual, positive language has the power to spark action and foster confidence. Words like opportunity, growth, potential, and achievement can uplift and encourage your audience to pursue their goals with enthusiasm. By focusing on what can be done instead of what should be avoided, you create a mindset of possibility. Precision in language. Precision is equally important. Vague or ambiguous language can lead to misunderstandings or confusion, while precise language creates clarity. The more specific you can be, the more likely it is that your audience will understand your message and respond accordingly. For example, consider the difference between, "We should try to improve our performance." "We should increase our sales by 15% over the next quarter." The first statement is a general desire to improve, while the second gives a clear, measurable goal. Precise language conveys intent and leaves little room for misinterpretation. When your language is specific, you make it easier for others to understand your expectations, set their own goals, and take action. This precision extends to both verbal and written communication. Whether you're giving instructions, making requests, or presenting an idea, specificity makes your communication more actionable and effective. Minimizing clutter. In the art of saying less, one of the greatest challenges is learning to eliminate the clutter, the unnecessary words, filler phrases, and redundancies that dilute the power of your message. How often do we hear sentences filled with qualifiers, hedging statements, or over-explanations that serve only to weaken the message? Identifying clutter. Here are some common examples of verbal clutter. "In my opinion, I think that we should." "I just wanted to say that." "To be honest, I'm not sure, but." These qualifiers and filler phrases add little to the meaning of the sentence and often create uncertainty in the listener's mind. When you say, "in my opinion," you're unnecessarily stating that your thoughts are subjective, which may cause the listener to question the validity of your words. When you say, "I just wanted to say that," or, "to be honest," you're adding extra words that don't add value. By removing these fillers, you get to the heart of the message faster, increasing the impact of your words. For example, instead of "in my opinion, I think that we should," you can say, "we should." Instead of "I just wanted to say that," you can say, "I believe." Instead of "to be honest, I'm not sure, but," you can simply say, "I'm not sure, but." Clarity often lies in simplicity, and by stripping away unnecessary words, you make your message more direct and compelling. The role of stories in choosing words wisely. While words are important, the way they are strung together to form a narrative can have a profound impact. Stories tap into the human desire for connection and understanding, and when you craft a narrative with precision and purpose, you enhance your ability to influence and persuade. When telling a story, every word counts. The best storytellers use language that evokes emotion, sparks curiosity, and leads the listener toward a conclusion. The words you choose in a story should be purposeful, each one driving the plot forward and reinforcing the theme. Whether you're speaking to a small group or addressing a large audience, the right words can transform a simple anecdote into a powerful message. For example, imagine you're telling a story about overcoming adversity. The words you choose to describe the challenge, the obstacles faced, the emotions felt, and the ultimate triumph, will shape how your audience relates to the experience. By choosing words that vividly illustrate the struggle and victory, you create a connection that feels real and relatable. Similarly, in professional settings, stories that highlight success or lessons learned can humanize you and build rapport with colleagues, clients, or customers. By selecting words that inspire empathy and understanding, you make your message memorable and impactful. Using language to lead and influence. The ability to lead others is fundamentally tied to how you communicate. Leaders are not simply people who give orders, they are those who inspire action, motivate individuals, and communicate a vision that others are eager to follow. The language you use in leadership positions can either empower or diminish your ability to influence. One of the key aspects of leadership communication is the use of inclusive language. Instead of focusing on authority or hierarchy, great leaders use language that creates a sense of unity and collective purpose. Words like we, our, and together invite collaboration and foster a shared sense of responsibility. For instance, consider the difference between these two statements: I need you to complete this task by the end of the day. Let's work together to get this task done by the end of the day. The first statement is directive and hierarchical, while the second creates a sense of partnership. By choosing words that engage others and invite collaboration, you increase the chances of success because people are more likely to feel motivated when they feel included in the process. Conclusion: the power of words in achieving more by saying less. Choosing words wisely is one of the most powerful skills you can develop in your communication toolkit. When you focus on precision, positivity, and purpose, you eliminate the unnecessary clutter and ensure that your message is clear, memorable, and impactful. Language, when used with intent, becomes a tool for connection, influence, and leadership. In the chapters ahead, we will build on these ideas, exploring how empathy, body language, and silence can further elevate your ability to communicate, but it all begins with choosing the right words. By mastering this skill, you will not only become a more effective communicator but also unlock the ability to achieve more with fewer words, making every conversation count. Chapter 4. Empathy and Emotional Intelligence in Communication. Effective communication is not solely about how we speak or what we say. It's also about how we understand and respond to others. In this chapter, we explore the vital role of empathy and emotional intelligence in fostering meaningful, influential communication. When we truly understand the emotional landscape of our audience, we can craft messages that resonate more deeply and create stronger connections. Empathy and emotional intelligence (EQ) allow us to communicate with authenticity and compassion, leading to greater trust, respect, and collaboration. While silence and brevity are essential tools for conveying clear and impactful messages, empathy and emotional intelligence are the keys to ensuring that those messages are received in the spirit in which they were intended. When we actively engage with the emotional undercurrents of a conversation, we elevate our communication beyond mere information exchange to a place of understanding, influence, and connection. Understanding your audience. The first step in empathetic communication is understanding your audience, the person or people you are engaging with, whether in a one-on-one conversation, a group setting, or even a public speech. To communicate effectively, it is essential to know not only what to say but also how to say it, based on the needs, emotions, and attitudes of your audience. Reading the room, the ability to read the emotional state of those around you, is a critical skill in communication. This involves noticing subtle changes in body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions. For example, a person's crossed arms, shifting posture, or a downcast gaze may indicate discomfort or defensiveness. Conversely, an open posture, eye contact, and leaning forward can signify engagement, interest, and trust. Being able to detect these signals allows you to tailor your message to the emotional climate. For example, if you sense that someone is anxious, your tone may need to be calming and reassuring. If your audience appears disengaged, you may need to inject energy and enthusiasm into your words to reignite their interest. Empathy also involves understanding the context in which the conversation is taking place. If someone is dealing with a personal crisis, they may not be in the right emotional state to handle constructive criticism or complex instructions. By recognizing these circumstances, you can adjust your communication to ensure it's appropriate for the situation. Asking the right questions. Another way to understand your audience is by asking open-ended questions that encourage others to share their thoughts and feelings. When you ask questions like, "How are you feeling about this?" or "What's on your mind?" you create a space for others to express themselves. This not only provides insight into their emotions, but also demonstrates that you value their perspectives. Empathy doesn't mean you have to agree with everything your audience feels or believes, but it does mean acknowledging their emotions as valid. Whether you're engaging with colleagues, friends, or strangers, showing that you understand where they're coming from strengthens your connection and builds trust. The role of emotional intelligence in communication. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and influence emotions, both in ourselves and in others. It's composed of several key skills, each of which plays a pivotal role in communication. Self-awareness. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness, understanding your own emotions and how they impact your thoughts and actions. When you are aware of your emotional state, you can better regulate your responses to others. For example, if you're feeling frustrated or angry during a conversation, your awareness of those emotions allows you to pause and take a breath, preventing you from reacting impulsively or negatively. Self-awareness also enables you to recognize when your emotions are influencing your communication in ways that might not align with your goals. Perhaps you're overly enthusiastic and your words come across as too aggressive, or you're anxious, making you seem less confident than you are. By understanding your own emotional state, you can adjust your communication accordingly. Self-regulation. Emotional intelligence involves the ability to regulate emotions, especially in high-pressure situations. In any form of communication, whether it's a difficult conversation with a coworker, a tense negotiation, or a personal disagreement, the capacity to remain calm and composed is invaluable. Self-regulation helps you stay focused, clear-headed, and non-reactive. For instance, in a heated meeting, staying calm and composed can help prevent the escalation of tension. It allows you to articulate your ideas clearly and respond to others without reacting impulsively. In this way, emotional regulation enhances your ability to communicate thoughtfully and maintain control over your message. Empathy. As we've already discussed, empathy is the core of emotional intelligence. It's about stepping into the shoes of others and understanding their emotions from their perspective. The more you can empathize with others, the more effective your communication will be. Empathetic listening, where you give others the space to express their feelings and needs, is an important part of this. When people feel heard and understood, they are more likely to be open to your ideas and suggestions. Social skills. Social skills refer to the ability to manage relationships and navigate social situations effectively. This includes being able to build rapport, resolve conflicts, collaborate, and persuade others. Good social skills enable you to engage with people in a way that fosters trust and respect. Whether you're giving feedback to a colleague, inspiring your team, or simply having a conversation with a friend, your ability to navigate the social dynamics of the conversation can significantly impact its outcome. Responding with sensitivity. Once you understand your audience and have honed your emotional intelligence, the next step is responding with sensitivity. Sensitivity is about choosing the right words, tone, and timing based on the emotional context of the conversation. Using language to show understanding. Empathetic communication is not just about hearing what others are saying, it's about responding in a way that acknowledges their feelings. For example, if someone shares their frustrations with you, rather than jumping immediately to problem solving, a sensitive response might be, "I can see how that situation would be really frustrating. I understand why you're upset." This response doesn't diminish their feelings, but validates them, allowing the person to feel heard and understood. From this place of emotional connection, you can then offer support or suggestions for moving forward, but only after you've shown that you fully comprehend their emotional state. Tone and timing matter. Your tone of voice and timing are essential components of a sensitive response. If someone is upset, a harsh or abrupt tone will likely only escalate the situation. A softer, calmer tone communicates care and concern, helping to defuse potential tension. Likewise, timing is critical. Sometimes, the best response is silence, giving the person time to express themselves fully before you speak. At other times, a thoughtful, well-timed remark can provide the reassurance or clarity needed to move the conversation forward. Adapting to different emotional states. People's emotional states vary greatly in different contexts. When communicating, being attuned to the emotional energy in the room allows you to adjust your approach. For example, if someone is excited about a new idea, your enthusiasm and support can amplify their excitement. If they are stressed or anxious, your response should be calm and reassuring, helping to create a sense of stability. Empathy and conflict resolution. Empathy is also a powerful tool in conflict resolution. Conflict often arises from misunderstandings, differing perspectives, or emotional reactions. By practicing empathy, you can de-escalate tensions and guide a conversation toward a productive resolution. Understanding different perspectives. In any conflict, it's vital to recognize that each party has its own emotional needs and perspectives. Rather than focusing solely on your own viewpoint, take time to understand the motivations and feelings of the other person. When both parties feel heard and understood, it becomes easier to find common ground and resolve the conflict effectively. Responding with empathy in difficult conversations. In difficult conversations, especially those involving disagreement, the goal is not necessarily to win but to communicate your point of view with respect and understanding. This means taking the time to listen deeply, acknowledging the other person's emotions, and responding in a way that fosters mutual understanding. For example, in a workplace dispute, instead of saying, "You're wrong," you might say, "I see where you're coming from, and I understand why you feel that way. Let's explore how we can find a solution that works for both of us." This approach demonstrates respect for the other person's perspective while also asserting your own needs. Conclusion: the power of empathy in achieving more by saying less. Empathy and emotional intelligence are the silent forces behind effective communication. They allow you to connect with others on a deeper level, fostering trust, collaboration, and understanding. When you communicate with empathy, you are not just exchanging information, you are building relationships and influencing outcomes. Chapter 5. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the silent language that speaks volumes. It is often said that actions speak louder than words, and this is especially true in communication. The way we carry ourselves, the expressions on our faces, the gestures we make, and even the way we position ourselves in relation to others can all influence the message we're trying to convey. While words have power, nonverbal cues have the ability to reinforce, enhance, or sometimes contradict what we say. In this chapter, we will explore the silent power of body language and other nonverbal signals. We'll also discuss how aligning our words with our actions can build trust and credibility, and how subtle cues can make us more persuasive and influential without needing to utter a single word. When combined with the principles of brevity and silence, mastering nonverbal communication can significantly amplify your impact. The silent power of body language. Body language is perhaps the most powerful form of nonverbal communication. It can reveal our true feelings, intentions, and reactions, even when our words say something different. People are often more inclined to believe what they see than what they hear. This means that your body language can either support your words or undermine them. Learning to control your own body language, and reading the body language of others, can make you a more effective and persuasive communicator. Posture. The foundation of communication. Your posture conveys much about your mood and your attitude toward others. For instance, an open posture, where you keep your arms and legs uncrossed and maintain an upright, relaxed stance, suggests confidence and receptivity. On the other hand, a closed posture, such as crossed arms or slouched shoulders, may indicate defensiveness or disengagement. In professional settings, standing or sitting with a confident posture can project authority and establish your credibility, while in personal interactions, an open posture can make you appear more approachable and trustworthy. Pay attention to how others' posture may be influencing the conversation. Are they leaning forward, signaling interest? Or are they leaning back, signaling discomfort or detachment? Facial expressions. The window to emotion. Our faces are incredibly expressive, and they often reveal our true emotions, sometimes before we even speak. Whether it's a smile, a raised eyebrow, or a furrowed brow, facial expressions provide essential clues to how we're feeling in the moment. Because these expressions are largely involuntary, they can often communicate more honestly than our words. In a business meeting, a leader who smiles with genuine warmth can create an atmosphere of openness and trust. In contrast, a tense, clenched jaw might signal stress or frustration, even if the leader is trying to appear calm and composed. Similarly, a look of confusion or surprise on someone's face can indicate that they don't understand what's being said, even if they haven't vocalized it. As a communicator, being aware of how others respond facially to your words, and adjusting accordingly, can help you connect with your audience on a deeper level. Gestures, adding emphasis and meaning. Gestures, like nodding or using your hands to emphasize points, can be powerful tools for reinforcing your message. A subtle head nod, for instance, can signal agreement, while raising a hand to gesture towards something can help clarify or highlight important ideas. On the other hand, gestures that are too exaggerated, too frequent, or inappropriate to the situation, such as fidgeting or pointing aggressively, can distract from your message or cause discomfort. In the workplace, using hand gestures in moderation while speaking can make your presentation more engaging and dynamic. In casual conversations, small gestures such as placing a hand over your heart or gently touching someone's arm can express empathy or solidarity without needing to say a word. Aligning words and actions. In communication, congruence between your words and your actions is critical for building trust and credibility. If your verbal and nonverbal messages are out of sync, your audience may become confused, suspicious, or distrustful. The importance of consistency. For example, imagine you're in a meeting, and you say, "I am completely on board with this project," but your arms are crossed, and your body is facing away from the group. The contradiction between your words and your body language may cause others to question the sincerity of your statement. People are adept at picking up on these inconsistencies, and, whether consciously or subconsciously, they may start to doubt your commitment to the cause. To ensure that your nonverbal communication aligns with your words, maintain consistency in your actions. If you're expressing support or enthusiasm, let that show through your posture, gestures, and facial expressions. Likewise, if you're delivering bad news or making a difficult decision, your tone, body language, and facial expression should reflect the seriousness of the situation, even if the words themselves are carefully chosen for clarity and professionalism. Trusting your instincts. Sometimes, your body can tell you things that your mind hasn't yet caught up with. For example, if you're feeling uncomfortable during a conversation but trying to remain composed, your body may stiffen, your gaze may shift away, or you may unconsciously use defensive gestures like crossing your arms. These physical responses can be indicators of discomfort, even if you're consciously trying to maintain a positive or neutral demeanor. In such cases, it's important to trust your instincts. If your body is signaling that something isn't quite right, it may be time to address the issue directly. Alternatively, if you notice these signs in someone else, it can be helpful to pause the conversation or adjust your approach to address any discomfort. Recognizing these signals and adjusting your behavior can significantly enhance your ability to communicate effectively and build stronger connections. The subtle art of nonverbal influence. Nonverbal communication is not just about expressing your own feelings, it's also about understanding and responding to the feelings of others. By paying attention to the nonverbal cues of those around you, you can influence and guide conversations more effectively. Mirroring, building rapport. One powerful nonverbal technique for establishing rapport is mirroring. This involves subtly mimicking the posture, gestures, and tone of the person you're communicating with. When done naturally, mirroring can create a sense of connection and empathy. It signals to the other person that you're attuned to their emotions and perspective. For example, if someone leans forward to show interest, you might lean forward as well. If they smile, you can mirror that smile. By mirroring these small cues, you make the other person feel more comfortable and understood. This technique is particularly useful in sales, negotiations, or interpersonal relationships, as it can facilitate a sense of trust and cooperation. Eye contact. Engaging and persuading. Eye contact is another powerful nonverbal tool for connection. When you maintain appropriate eye contact, you demonstrate attentiveness, confidence, and sincerity. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact can create a sense of disconnection or evasion. Too much eye contact, however, can feel intimidating, while too little can come across as evasive or insecure. The key to effective eye contact is balance. Aim for brief, intentional eye contact to convey interest and engagement, while also allowing occasional breaks to avoid making the other person feel uncomfortable. In public speaking, making eye contact with various members of the audience can help maintain engagement and ensure that your message resonates with everyone in the room. Nonverbal communication and persuasion. While words can persuade, nonverbal communication can enhance the effectiveness of your persuasion efforts. The subtleties of body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice often play a crucial role in how your message is received. Using space and proximity, the physical space between you and others, known as proxemics, can also communicate powerful messages. In general, standing or sitting too far from someone can create a sense of emotional distance, while standing too close can feel invasive or uncomfortable. Understanding cultural norms around personal space and adjusting accordingly can enhance the effectiveness of your message. In certain contexts, especially with close colleagues or friends, standing closer can convey intimacy, trust, and collaboration. In professional settings, respecting personal space and maintaining a respectful distance can foster comfort and professionalism. The power of touch is one of the most profound forms of nonverbal communication. A firm handshake, a pat on the back, or a gentle touch on the arm can convey support, encouragement, or warmth. In negotiations or public speaking, though, touch should be used carefully, as it can also be misinterpreted if not done appropriately. In general, it's important to be aware of personal boundaries and cultural differences surrounding physical contact. Conclusion: harnessing the power of silence and nonverbal cues. When we think of communication, words often take center stage. However, nonverbal cues often speak louder and more powerfully than anything we can say. Mastering body language, aligning our words with our actions, and learning to read and respond to the nonverbal signals of others can enhance our communication in ways words alone cannot. By embracing the silent power of body language and subtle nonverbal influence, we become more persuasive, impactful, and connected with those around us. Chapter 6. Building Trust and Credibility. Trust is the cornerstone of every meaningful interaction. Whether in business, relationships, or personal endeavors, credibility is what sustains long-term success and fosters genuine connections. In a world filled with noise and misinformation, the ability to communicate in a way that consistently builds trust is invaluable. This chapter explores how honesty, consistency, and reliability in communication are key to establishing and maintaining trust and credibility in any setting. Honesty as a communication tool. Honesty is more than just telling the truth, it is the foundation of trust. Without honesty, no amount of eloquence or persuasion will be effective in establishing credibility. People are quick to detect dishonesty, even when it's subtle, and once they feel they can't trust you, any future communication will be tainted by that doubt. Being open and transparent is one of the most powerful ways to build trust and reinforce credibility. The power of transparency: when you communicate openly, whether you're discussing successes, challenges, or potential risks, you show your audience that you are willing to be vulnerable. This honesty demonstrates integrity, and integrity is the bedrock of trust. In the workplace, leaders who are transparent about challenges and decision-making processes are more likely to gain the respect and trust of their teams. Similarly, in personal relationships, being honest about your thoughts and feelings strengthens the bond between individuals. In a professional context, transparency also means not hiding your intentions or motivations. When you're upfront about your goals, whether they're business objectives or personal aspirations, people understand where you're coming from and can gauge your actions with clarity. This creates an environment where communication is less about trying to sell an idea and more about fostering open dialogue. Authenticity in communication. Authenticity is another crucial aspect of building trust. Authentic communication means staying true to your own values, emotions, and beliefs, and expressing them openly. When you're authentic, people sense it. They can tell when you're being genuine or simply saying what you think others want to hear. This creates a deeper, more meaningful connection with your audience, whether you're leading a team, negotiating with a client, or having a conversation with a loved one. Being authentic doesn't mean being brutally honest or oversharing. Rather, it's about expressing yourself in a way that aligns with your core beliefs and values. In leadership, authenticity can create a sense of relatability and approachability, which helps people feel more comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns. In personal relationships, authenticity fosters mutual respect and understanding. Consistency and reliability. Consistency is key when it comes to building and maintaining trust. If your words and actions are unpredictable, people will struggle to rely on you. Consistent communication, whether verbal or nonverbal, builds confidence in your reliability. It signals that you are dependable, and your behavior is predictable, which creates a sense of safety and security for those you communicate with. Consistency in words and actions. It's not enough to simply say the right things, your actions must align with your words. If you promise to follow through on something, but consistently fail to deliver, people will begin to question your sincerity. On the other hand, if you consistently deliver on your promises, no matter how small, your trustworthiness grows. For example, a manager who consistently communicates expectations and follows up with constructive feedback will establish a culture of trust within their team. Similarly, when you consistently demonstrate accountability in your personal life, whether showing up on time for meetings or being present during conversations, others begin to trust your intentions and commitment. The impact of predictability. People crave predictability, especially in relationships. When you're predictable in your communication, whether in your tone, body language, or follow-through, others can more easily gauge how you'll react in different situations. This predictability is not about being rigid or inflexible, rather, it's about creating a foundation where others know they can rely on you. A predictable response, for example, can be a powerful tool in managing expectations. In the workplace, a leader who is consistent in offering praise, feedback, and guidance can foster an environment of trust. Similarly, in personal relationships, being predictable in your responses can make others feel safe and valued. In both settings, predictability creates an atmosphere where individuals can thrive without fear of the unknown. Building a reputation through words. Your words, when used wisely, have the power to shape your reputation. The way you speak, what you choose to say, and how you say it all contribute to the perception others have of you. Communication, when done with intention and authenticity, can solidify your credibility and build a strong reputation, both personally and professionally. Words create perception. The words you choose can create a lasting impression on your audience. Positive, confident language helps shape how others perceive you. When you communicate clearly and with purpose, you demonstrate professionalism and expertise, which solidifies your credibility. Conversely, negative or evasive language can undermine your authority and lead others to question your intentions. In professional settings, being deliberate with your words helps you build your reputation as someone who is both competent and trustworthy. Whether you're communicating with clients, peers, or subordinates, your choice of words can convey respect, insight, and professionalism. In personal relationships, how you communicate can shape how others view your character. Speaking with kindness and clarity can build trust and respect, while harsh or careless language can create distance and misunderstandings. The role of communication in branding your personal or professional brand is largely built on how you communicate. The way you present yourself in emails, meetings, social media, or even casual conversations contributes to how others perceive you. By communicating clearly, consistently, and authentically, you can cultivate a reputation that reflects your values and expertise. Leaders, for example, build their brands through their communication styles. A leader who communicates with transparency, shares vision, and listens actively builds a reputation of trustworthiness and vision. Over time, this reputation extends beyond words, it becomes a part of their leadership brand. Similarly, in personal branding, how you communicate with others can set you apart in social or professional circles. Whether you're known for your thoughtful responses, your honesty, or your ability to simplify complex ideas, your communication style plays a critical role in how others perceive your value. Building trust through small, everyday actions. While big promises or grand gestures can build trust in the short term, it is the small, everyday actions that sustain it over time. Trust is built through consistency in how we show up, how we listen, and how we follow through. Every interaction provides an opportunity to strengthen or weaken that trust. The impact of active listening. Active listening is one of the most important skills for building trust. When you listen carefully to others, you show them that you value their opinions, concerns, and emotions. People trust those who take the time to truly understand them, rather than just waiting for their turn to speak. By practicing active listening, paraphrasing, asking clarifying questions, and demonstrating empathy, you create a deeper connection with others, making them feel heard and respected. In professional settings, active listening helps leaders gain valuable insights from their teams. In personal relationships, it fosters empathy and mutual understanding. People are more likely to trust those who make them feel valued, and this trust forms the foundation of stronger relationships. Follow-through and accountability. Building trust also requires follow-through. If you commit to something, whether it's a task at work or a promise to a friend, following through on your commitment shows that you are reliable and trustworthy. Accountability is the cornerstone of reliability. When others know that you will meet deadlines, keep promises, and fulfill your obligations, they are more likely to trust you. A leader who consistently follows through on promises builds a reputation for reliability. A friend who shows up when they say they will builds a reputation for dependability. In all aspects of life, trust is solidified through the simple act of following through on commitments. The role of vulnerability in building trust. While consistency, honesty, and active listening are essential for building trust, vulnerability plays a critical role as well. Being vulnerable doesn't mean exposing your weaknesses indiscriminately, it means being open about your true thoughts, emotions, and experiences in a way that invites connection. Admitting mistakes. One of the most powerful ways to build trust is by acknowledging your mistakes. When you make a mistake and take responsibility for it, you show others that you are accountable and trustworthy. People admire those who own up to their shortcomings rather than trying to cover them up. This honesty in admitting flaws not only builds trust but also encourages others to be open and authentic as well. Sharing your true self. Vulnerability is also about being authentic and not hiding behind a facade. When you share your true self with others, whether it's expressing your values, fears, or ambitions, you invite deeper connection and trust. People are more likely to trust those who are authentic and show a willingness to be open, even when it feels uncomfortable. Conclusion: trust is the cornerstone of influence. Trust is not something that can be rushed or forced, it is earned through consistent, authentic communication. By being honest, transparent, and reliable, and by aligning your words with your actions, you can build a reputation that inspires confidence and trust. The foundation of trust allows you to communicate more effectively, influence others positively, and foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. Whether in the workplace, in leadership, or in personal relationships, the ability to communicate in ways that build and reinforce trust is a powerful tool for achieving your goals and creating lasting impact. By consistently demonstrating your integrity, following through on promises, and showing vulnerability, you can foster an environment of trust that not only benefits you but also those around you. Trust is the ultimate currency of communication, and when you possess it, you unlock the potential for influence, collaboration, and success. Chapter 7. Listening as a tool for influence. In a world where the constant rush to speak often overshadows the art of listening, effective communication relies not only on what we say but also on how we listen. Listening is a skill that's often underappreciated, yet it holds immense power when used deliberately. Mastering the art of listening doesn't just make you a better communicator, it makes you a more influential one. By listening with intention, you gain insights, build rapport, and create an environment of trust and respect. In this chapter, we explore the transformative power of listening, how it enhances your ability to influence, and how you can apply active listening techniques to foster deeper, more meaningful connections in both professional and personal settings. The art of active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing someone speak, it involves a conscious effort to fully engage with the speaker. It requires focus, empathy, and a genuine interest in understanding the message behind the words. When you practice active listening, you not only absorb the content of the conversation but also pick up on the underlying emotions, needs, and intentions. This makes you a more effective communicator, as you can respond thoughtfully and purposefully. The key components of active listening: paying full attention. The first step in active listening is giving the speaker your undivided attention. This means putting aside distractions, maintaining eye contact, and showing through your body language that you are fully present. In a conversation, this can be as simple as turning your body toward the person, nodding to acknowledge what they're saying, and resisting the urge to formulate your response while they're still talking. By focusing entirely on the speaker, you show respect for their words, which encourages openness and trust. Reflecting and paraphrasing. To ensure understanding and to show that you are actively engaged, it is important to reflect or paraphrase what the other person has said. This could involve summarizing their key points, or asking clarifying questions. For example, you might say, "What I'm hearing is that you feel frustrated because your ideas aren't being heard in meetings. Is that right?" This not only confirms your understanding but also demonstrates empathy and validation. Responding appropriately, effective listening isn't just about hearing the message, it's about responding in a way that reflects your understanding. Your responses should be thoughtful and relevant to the conversation, rather than jumping to conclusions or offering unsolicited advice. By responding with care and relevance, you further engage the speaker and keep the communication productive. Avoiding interruptions. A critical part of active listening is resisting the urge to interrupt, which can make the speaker feel unheard or undervalued. Interrupting can also prevent you from fully understanding the message, as it shifts the focus away from the speaker and places it on your thoughts or ideas. Practice patience, allowing the other person to express themselves fully before offering your input. Understanding needs and desires. Listening actively not only helps you understand the words being spoken, but also allows you to recognize the underlying needs, desires, and motivations of the speaker. When you tune into the emotions behind the message, you gain a deeper understanding of what the other person is trying to communicate. This is particularly important in both personal and professional contexts, as it enables you to respond in ways that are aligned with the other person's true needs. Decoding emotional cues. People's words often convey only a part of the message. Tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language offer valuable insights into what someone is truly feeling. A person may say, "I'm fine," but their body language may indicate stress or discomfort. By observing these emotional cues, you can adjust your response to show that you're attuned to their emotional state. In the workplace, understanding the emotional needs of colleagues or clients can enhance your leadership abilities. A leader who listens actively and picks up on emotional signals, whether it's frustration, uncertainty, or excitement, can provide the right kind of support or guidance at the right time. For instance, if an employee expresses frustration about a project, active listening allows you to empathize and offer solutions that address their concerns, creating a more positive and productive work environment. In personal relationships, listening attentively to someone's emotions can strengthen bonds. For example, if a friend expresses anxiety or fear, acknowledging those emotions instead of dismissing them fosters trust and emotional connection. Listening beyond the words helps you to provide comfort, understanding, and validation, reinforcing the strength of the relationship. Responding effectively. Once you have listened actively and understood the speaker's message and emotions, the next step is to respond in a way that moves the conversation forward and addresses their needs. Effective responses demonstrate that you not only heard what was said, but that you care about the message and are committed to providing a thoughtful and constructive reply. Empathy in response. One of the most powerful ways to respond is with empathy. Empathetic responses show that you understand the speaker's emotions and validate their feelings. For instance, if someone shares a personal challenge with you, a response such as, "That sounds really tough. I can understand why you'd feel that way," communicates that you are not just hearing their words, but also acknowledging their emotional experience. Empathy creates an emotional bond and builds trust, making the other person feel seen and heard. Offering constructive solutions. Sometimes, people simply want to be heard without receiving advice. However, in certain situations, especially in professional contexts, it may be appropriate to offer solutions or suggestions. The key is to listen fully before proposing a solution, so you can ensure it is both relevant and helpful. For example, if a colleague shares a problem at work, your response might begin with, "I hear your concerns about the project timeline. Have you considered discussing an extension with the client?" Offering a solution that is directly tied to what the person shared shows that you're engaged and care about finding a resolution. Using silence as a tool. Sometimes the most effective response is no response at all. In situations where emotions are high or when someone is sharing something deeply personal, silence can be a powerful tool for listening. Allowing a pause gives the speaker time to process their thoughts or feelings, and it shows that you are comfortable with silence, which can invite them to continue sharing. Strategic silence is particularly important in moments of conflict, where rushing to respond can escalate the situation. Instead, taking a breath and allowing the conversation to unfold naturally can help diffuse tension and create space for more thoughtful communication. Listening to influence and persuade. Listening is not only a tool for building relationships, but also for influencing others. The ability to listen intently and understand the underlying needs of others positions you to influence outcomes in a more meaningful way. When people feel heard, they are more likely to trust you, be open to your ideas, and align with your vision. Listening to understand, not to react. In persuasive situations, such as negotiations or conflict resolution, the key to influencing others is listening not just to react but to understand. When you listen with the intention of understanding someone's viewpoint fully, you can identify areas of agreement and potential compromise. By reflecting back their concerns or needs, you build rapport, making it more likely that the other party will listen to your perspective in turn. For example, during a negotiation, active listening allows you to uncover the other party's true interests, beyond their stated position. You might discover that a client's primary concern is not just cost, but the quality of service. By listening attentively and addressing their underlying needs, you can tailor your proposal to align with their true motivations, which increases your chances of reaching a mutually beneficial agreement. Using listening to build trust in leadership. Effective leaders understand that the foundation of their influence is built on trust, and trust is earned through active listening. Leaders who listen to their team members are seen as approachable, empathetic, and invested in the success of their employees. A leader who listens to feedback and takes action on it demonstrates respect and encourages an open, collaborative environment. In turn, this creates a team that is motivated and aligned with the leader's vision, making it easier to inspire action and achieve organizational goals. Listening in high-stakes situations. There are situations where the stakes are particularly high, such as during crises, sensitive negotiations, or when managing conflict. In these moments, the ability to listen attentively is paramount. When emotions are heightened, effective listening can be the difference between escalating a situation and defusing it. De-escalating conflict with listening. Listening plays a vital role in conflict resolution. When people are upset or frustrated, they often feel that they aren't being heard. By listening actively and acknowledging their feelings, you can prevent the situation from escalating. Acknowledging someone's emotional state does not mean agreeing with them, it simply means recognizing their perspective. For example, in a heated conversation, you might say, "I understand that this situation is frustrating, and I can see why you'd feel upset." This statement alone can help calm the other person down, creating space for more rational dialogue and conflict resolution. Handling criticism with grace. In moments of receiving criticism or feedback, listening is a powerful tool for staying calm and responding thoughtfully. When someone provides critical feedback, the initial impulse may be to defend yourself. However, listening carefully to the critique and asking clarifying questions can lead to more productive outcomes. By demonstrating that you're open to understanding the feedback fully, you not only gain insight into areas for improvement but also build respect with the person providing the critique. The long-term benefits of listening. Becoming an effective listener has long-term benefits that extend far beyond individual conversations. Over time, active listening helps you build stronger relationships, enhance your influence, and improve your overall communication skills. By consistently practicing active listening, you create an environment where people feel valued and understood, which fosters collaboration, trust, and loyalty. Listening enhances your ability to lead, to build rapport, and to influence others in a way that's both respectful and effective. Whether you're negotiating, managing a team, or simply trying to deepen your personal relationships, mastering the art of listening is one of the most powerful tools in your communication arsenal. Conclusion. Listening is not a passive act, it is an active, intentional process that can greatly enhance your ability to influence, connect, and lead. By embracing the principles of active listening and making it a cornerstone of your communication style, you will not only become a better listener but a more effective communicator overall. Whether you're seeking to build trust, resolve conflict, or inspire action, listening with purpose will unlock your full potential as a communicator. Through listening, you will achieve more by saying less, creating deeper connections, and building stronger, more influential relationships. Chapter 8. Crafting compelling stories. Storytelling is one of the oldest and most powerful forms of communication. Whether shared orally around a campfire, written in books, or presented on a stage, stories have the ability to captivate, inspire, and persuade. In the context of quiet communication, storytelling can be an incredibly effective tool for conveying messages with depth, emotional impact, and clarity. By telling stories, we don't just inform, we invite our audience into a world where ideas come alive, emotions are felt, and meaning is made. In this chapter, we will explore why storytelling is such a persuasive communication technique, how to craft stories that resonate deeply with your audience, and how to structure those stories for maximum impact. You'll learn to use stories strategically to engage listeners, build trust, and motivate action, all while keeping your message clear, focused, and concise. The science of storytelling. At its core, storytelling is about engaging the imagination and emotions of your audience. It's about weaving together elements of conflict, resolution, and transformation in a way that draws people in and makes them care. Stories transcend logic and appeal to the human experience. Psychologically, our brains are wired to process stories differently than they process facts or figures. When we hear a story, our brains release oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, which helps us connect emotionally with the narrator and the characters within the story. Stories are powerful because they create connection. By sharing a personal or relatable experience, stories humanize the speaker, making them more approachable and trustworthy. This is particularly important when trying to establish rapport or build influence. Evoke emotion. A well-told story can trigger a wide range of emotions: joy, empathy, anger, fear, or hope, allowing the speaker to connect with their audience on a deeper, more visceral level. Simplify complex ideas. When you use a story to convey a message, you translate abstract concepts into relatable, concrete situations. Stories make it easier for people to grasp complex ideas because they offer context and meaning in a way that facts alone cannot. Drive action. A compelling story can inspire, persuade, and move an audience to take action. Whether it's motivating a team, influencing a decision, or inspiring personal change, stories can be a powerful tool for encouraging behavior. Building emotional connections through stories. One of the most important roles of a story is to create an emotional connection between the storyteller and the listener. To do this, a story must resonate with the audience's values, experiences, and aspirations. Whether you are speaking to a small group or addressing an entire organization, your story should speak to their emotions, drawing them in with elements of universal human experience. How to build emotional connections. Use relatable characters. Every great story has characters that the audience can relate to, root for, or empathize with. These characters might be people you know, figures from history, or fictional creations, but what matters is that they resonate with the listener on an emotional level. To build empathy, choose characters who reflect the challenges, dreams, or values that your audience shares. If you're discussing a business case, you might tell a story about a team facing a challenge that your audience can relate to, such as navigating change, overcoming obstacles, or achieving success together. Evoke universal themes. Universal themes, such as love, loss, triumph, failure, and perseverance, are powerful emotional drivers. These themes resonate across cultural boundaries and connect us to our shared human experience. By weaving universal themes into your story, you tap into something that every listener can identify with, no matter their background or situation. This creates an instant bond with your audience and ensures your message is felt as much as it is understood. Appeal to values. People are more likely to connect with stories that reflect their personal or societal values. If you understand the values that matter to your audience, whether it's hard work, justice, freedom, or innovation, you can tailor your stories to speak directly to those values. This makes your message more persuasive, as it speaks to the deeper beliefs and motivations of the listener. Use sensory detail. A well-told story is rich in sensory detail, allowing the audience to feel as if they are experiencing the story themselves. By describing sights, sounds, smells, and feelings, you create a vivid mental image that engages the audience's imagination. For example, instead of just saying she was nervous, you might describe how her hands trembled and her breath quickened, how she felt a lump in her throat, and how the room seemed to close in around her. This kind of detail not only paints a picture but also evokes the emotions associated with it. Structuring your story for maximum impact. While spontaneity and creativity play a role in storytelling, the most impactful stories tend to follow a clear structure. A well-structured story grabs attention, maintains interest, and delivers a message that lingers in the minds of the audience long after the conversation ends. Here are the key components of a well-structured story. 1. The hook. Grab attention. The beginning of your story must capture your audience's attention right away. A hook is a captivating opening, something that sparks curiosity, creates intrigue, or presents a problem that needs solving. It sets the stage for everything that follows, drawing your audience in and making them want to know more. Example: imagine starting a business presentation with, 3 years ago, our company was on the brink of failure. Our revenue was down, and our future was uncertain. But today, we're one of the fastest growing companies in our industry. Let me tell you how we did it. This hook sparks curiosity about the transformation, prompting the audience to stay engaged. 2. The setup. Establish context and stakes. Once you've captured the audience's attention, you need to provide context. Set the scene, introduce the characters, and present the problem or challenge that needs to be addressed. This part of the story helps the audience relate to what's happening and understand why it matters. Example: at the time, we were facing a major competitor that was threatening to overtake us. Our sales team was demoralized, and our marketing efforts weren't resonating with our customers. We were fighting an uphill battle. 3. The conflict. Build tension. Conflict is the heart of any great story. It's what makes the journey compelling and keeps the audience engaged. The conflict can be internal, personal struggles, or external, obstacles or adversaries. The audience must see the stakes and understand what's at risk if the conflict is not resolved. Example: despite our best efforts, nothing seemed to work. We tried new campaigns, we rebranded, but the numbers kept going down. Our team was losing hope, and our investors were starting to ask difficult questions. 4. The resolution. Present the turning point. Every story needs a turning point, an event, decision, or action that shifts the trajectory and leads to a resolution. This is where the protagonist, or organization, finds a way to overcome the conflict and move toward a positive outcome. The resolution demonstrates growth, change, or success, and it's the point where your audience sees how the story ties back to your message. Example: then, one of our team members suggested a radical approach. We would focus on delivering extreme value to our existing customers first. We revamped our service, offering personalized support and exclusive offers. Slowly, we turned things around. 5. The conclusion. The takeaway. The conclusion is where you wrap up the story and drive home your message. The takeaway should be clear and concise, reinforcing the lesson or insight you want your audience to remember. It's the final thought that lingers in the minds of your listeners, leaving them with a sense of closure and purpose. Example: by putting our customers at the center of everything, we not only regained our position in the market but also built long-term loyalty. The lesson is simple: success isn't just about acquiring new customers, it's about serving the ones you already have. Using stories to persuade and influence. When used strategically, stories can be an extremely persuasive tool. Whether you're trying to influence a decision in a meeting, motivate a team, or win over a client, storytelling can be used to shape perceptions, inspire action, and make your ideas more memorable. Here's how you can use stories to influence. Align the story with your objective. Before telling a story, be clear about your goal. Do you want to motivate, inform, or persuade? The structure and content of your story should align with the outcome you want to achieve. If you want to inspire action, focus on stories of success or overcoming adversity. Keep it relevant. Your story should be relevant to the audience and the situation. Don't tell a story just for the sake of storytelling. Make sure it has a clear link to your message. If you're trying to persuade a colleague to adopt a new process, for instance, share a story about how another company or team successfully implemented it. Be authentic. Authenticity is key to credibility. People are more likely to be influenced by stories that feel genuine and sincere. Share personal experiences, if applicable, or stories from credible sources that align with your values and message. Chapter 9. Practical applications in professional settings. In professional environments, communication is not just a tool, it is the cornerstone upon which careers, teams, and organizations are built. Effective communication can make the difference between success and failure, between a motivated team and one that's disengaged, between building strong relationships or struggling to connect with colleagues and clients. Yet, in an era of constant information overload, the art of quiet communication, communicating with precision, purpose, and power, has become more important than ever. In this chapter, we will explore how the principles of saying less but saying more can be applied in a variety of professional contexts. Whether you are a leader, a team member, or a negotiator, the ability to communicate strategically can amplify your influence, improve your decision-making, and help you create better outcomes with fewer words. By embracing quiet confidence, you can become an effective leader, a persuasive negotiator, and a compelling speaker, all while making sure your communication is authentic, intentional, and impactful. Leadership and influence. At the heart of effective leadership lies the ability to communicate in ways that inspire, align, and mobilize others. Leaders who speak less, but with clarity and purpose, are often seen as more confident, grounded, and trustworthy. The principle of quiet leadership, leading through calm, thoughtful communication, enables you to command respect, build rapport, and influence others without relying on constant chatter or grandiose speeches. 1. The power of listening in leadership. A core aspect of leadership communication is the ability to listen actively. By listening carefully to your team members, colleagues, and clients, you demonstrate respect for their opinions and create an environment of openness. Active listening goes beyond hearing words, it involves truly understanding what others are trying to communicate, whether it's explicit or implied. By listening without rushing to offer a solution or comment, you give space for others to express themselves fully, which fosters a sense of trust and empowerment. Practical tip: in meetings or one-on-one discussions, practice the power of silence by pausing before responding. Reflect on what has been said before offering your thoughts, which helps to demonstrate your engagement and enhances your influence. 2. Leading through example. When leaders speak less and act with clarity, they set an example for their teams. Silent leadership, leadership where the words you choose are deliberate and the actions you take are intentional, often leads to greater results. A leader who speaks with purpose and takes actions aligned with their words naturally gains trust and respect. By practicing restraint in speech, you also model how to communicate with precision and avoid unnecessary distractions. Practical tip: avoid over-explaining or micromanaging. Allow your team to come to their own conclusions and provide feedback in concise, targeted ways that encourage problem-solving without overwhelming them with excessive direction. 3. The quiet confidence of leadership. Confidence is not about dominating conversations or asserting control in every meeting. True leadership is often quieter, expressed through calm, decisive actions, clear guidance, and strategic use of silence. Leaders who use silence effectively can create space for others to contribute and make decisions with greater autonomy. By not feeling the need to fill every moment with speech, you give yourself the time and mental clarity to lead with purpose and poise. Practical tip: when making a key decision, don't rush into speaking right away. Allow a pause after presenting an issue or proposal to give others time to process the information and voice their perspectives. This shows you value their input and allows you to make more informed decisions. Negotiation and persuasion. Negotiation is a skill that requires a delicate balance of communication. The quiet communicator knows when to listen, when to speak, and when to use silence as a tool to influence the outcome. When negotiating, the aim is not simply to win the discussion, but to reach an agreement that satisfies all parties involved. The ability to say less and strategically use silence in negotiations can give you a significant advantage. 1. Using silence to strengthen your position. In negotiations, silence can be incredibly powerful. When you stop talking, you create space for the other party to fill the gap. Silence can make people uncomfortable, and in those moments of discomfort, they may reveal more information than they intended, offer concessions, or reconsider their stance. By allowing the silence to linger after making a point or a proposal, you demonstrate confidence in your position and encourage the other party to think more critically about their response. Practical tip: after making your offer, remain silent and let the other person speak. Don't rush to fill the gap with additional explanations. The pause will often compel them to respond, either with further negotiation or by agreeing to your terms. 2. The art of listening to find common ground. Effective negotiation requires more than just talking. It requires understanding the other party's needs, concerns, and motivations. Active listening enables you to identify areas of agreement and find creative solutions that satisfy both parties. By listening attentively, you can adapt your communication strategy and avoid deadlock. Silent listening is often more influential than speaking because it shows you are genuinely interested in the other party's perspective. Practical tip: during negotiations, focus on asking open-ended questions and give your counterpart time to speak. Avoid interrupting them, as this can break trust and reduce the effectiveness of your communication. 3. Using precise, positive language to persuade. In negotiations, the language you use is vital. The quieter communicator understands that the power of language is not in volume but in precision. Choose words that convey confidence, clarity, and positivity. Be concise and avoid filler language that dilutes your message. Words of certainty, combined with strategic pauses, can help persuade the other party to accept your proposal. Practical tip: instead of saying "I think this might be a good deal for both of us," say "this deal will benefit both parties by." The more confident and direct you are with your language, the more likely you are to secure favorable terms. Public speaking. Public speaking is an arena where many feel pressured to speak quickly, often out of fear of losing their audience's attention. However, great public speakers understand the art of saying less with greater impact. The power of strategic silence, careful pacing, and concise language can make you a more compelling and memorable speaker. 1. The importance of pauses. When speaking in front of an audience, pauses can be more powerful than you might realize. Pausing allows your message to sink in, gives your audience time to reflect, and adds emphasis to key points. A well-timed pause can make your message feel more profound and ensure your audience is fully engaged. The silence also gives you the chance to regain your composure, control your pacing, and think more clearly about your next point. Practical tip: before making a key point in your speech, pause for a few seconds to let the audience anticipate what you're going to say. This builds suspense and ensures their full attention is on your next words. 2. Crafting your message for clarity. To speak with power and impact, your message needs to be clear and focused. Public speaking often involves summarizing complex ideas, which can be done effectively by honing in on the key messages and delivering them concisely. The more you can distill your message into a few core ideas, the more memorable and persuasive your speech will be. Practical tip: identify the key points of your speech and repeat them at strategic intervals. By reinforcing your message, you ensure your audience takes away the most important elements of your presentation. 3. Building trust through authenticity. Audiences are quick to pick up on inauthenticity. A speaker who over-exaggerates, uses empty phrases, or speaks in a way that doesn't match their body language can quickly lose credibility. On the other hand, a speaker who speaks with genuine passion and clarity, and uses silence effectively, builds trust with the audience. Authentic communication is not about saying everything, it's about saying the right things in a way that is true to you and your message. Practical tip: be yourself when speaking. Don't try to imitate someone else's style, speak from your own experiences and values. The more authentic you are, the more your audience will connect with you. Conclusion: quiet leadership in the professional world. In professional settings, achieving more by saying less is not about withholding information or being passive, it's about exercising strategic restraint, focusing on precision, and using silence as a powerful tool. Whether you are leading a team, negotiating a deal, or speaking in public, the principles of quiet communication can elevate your influence, build trust, and drive success. By embracing the power of silence, the art of brevity, and the strategic use of words, you create an environment where your message resonates more deeply, your leadership is more effective, and your professional relationships are stronger. The quiet communicator is not just heard, they are listened to, trusted, and followed. In the world of professional communication, saying less often leads to achieving far more. Chapter 10. Practical applications in personal settings. In the professional world, effective communication can help you climb the ladder, close deals, or win clients. However, in your personal life, communication is just as critical, if not more so. The way we communicate in relationships shapes the foundation of trust, intimacy, and connection. Whether it's with a partner, family, friends, or even with ourselves, the principles of saying less but saying more can transform how you relate to others and build deeper, more meaningful connections. This chapter explores the various ways the power of silence and strategic communication can be applied in personal settings. You'll discover how brevity, empathy, and nonverbal communication can strengthen bonds, resolve conflicts, and help you grow as an individual. By learning to communicate with intention and authenticity, you'll be able to enhance your relationships and cultivate personal growth, creating a more harmonious and fulfilling life. Relationship building. Healthy, thriving relationships are based on mutual respect, understanding, and communication. The ability to communicate effectively in personal relationships, whether with a spouse, partner, friends, or family, requires not only clear expression but also listening, empathy, and the ability to navigate sensitive situations with care. Quiet, intentional communication fosters emotional connection and trust, which are the cornerstones of strong relationships. 1. Listening to understand, not to respond. One of the most powerful ways to build a deeper connection with someone is through active listening. Often, in conversations, we are more focused on what we are going to say next than on truly hearing the other person. To listen with empathy means to give someone the space to express their feelings, thoughts, and concerns without interruption or judgment. It is through this active listening that you build a foundation of trust and respect. Practical tip: when a loved one is speaking, resist the urge to jump in with your own opinions or advice. Instead, focus on truly understanding their feelings, asking follow-up questions to show your engagement, and allowing for pauses. The silence between words allows the other person to feel heard and understood. 2. The role of nonverbal communication in relationships. Much of human communication is nonverbal. Your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice all play a significant role in conveying your feelings and intentions. In relationships, nonverbal cues are often more powerful than words. A loving touch, a gentle smile, or maintaining eye contact can strengthen the connection far more than what is actually spoken. By being aware of your nonverbal signals, you can ensure that you are conveying the right message to your partner, friends, or family. Practical tip: pay attention to how you use your body language during conversations. A simple gesture, such as touching a partner's hand during a conversation, can communicate reassurance and empathy. Avoid distractions, like checking your phone during important discussions, to show your full attention. 3. Creating emotional safety through silence. In intimate relationships, emotional safety is paramount. Often, we don't need to speak to create this safe space. Sometimes, it is the silences that convey the deepest empathy and understanding. In moments of emotional vulnerability, whether during a tough conversation or when someone is in distress, silence can communicate support. Your presence, combined with a mindful silence, lets the other person know that you are there for them, ready to listen and offer comfort without judgment. Practical tip: in moments when a loved one is struggling, instead of trying to immediately fix the situation or offer advice, hold space for them. Simply being there and listening in silence can provide more comfort than words ever could. Conflict resolution. Conflicts are an inevitable part of any relationship, but how we navigate them can either strengthen the relationship or drive a wedge between us. In moments of conflict, the impulse may be to speak loudly, assert our position, or convince the other person that we are right. However, the power of silence and thoughtful communication can help resolve conflicts in a way that fosters understanding and connection. 1. Using silence to de-escalate tension. When emotions run high, responding quickly or aggressively can escalate the situation. By taking a step back and remaining silent for a few moments, you create space for both parties to calm down. Silence gives both individuals time to process emotions, allowing for a more rational and thoughtful conversation once things have settled. Practical tip: if you find yourself in the middle of a heated argument, pause before responding. Take a deep breath, and allow the other person to speak fully. This pause can help both of you gain perspective and keep the conversation from becoming destructive. 2. The power of apologizing with precision. In any conflict, apologies are often necessary. However, an apology must be sincere and specific to be effective. Saying "I'm sorry" can be meaningful, but it's when you follow up with a clear acknowledgement of what went wrong and how you will change that it has a true impact. Avoiding filler phrases like "I'm sorry if you were hurt" or "I didn't mean to" makes your apology more genuine. Practical tip: when apologizing, take responsibility for your actions without making excuses. Acknowledge the hurt caused, and offer specific steps you will take to prevent a recurrence. This communicates that you value the relationship and are committed to making things right. 3. Finding common ground through active listening. During a disagreement, it's easy to get caught up in defending your point of view. However, real resolution happens when both parties are able to understand each other's perspectives. Listening actively, not just waiting for your turn to speak, can help you find common ground even when the issue at hand feels impossible to resolve. Practical tip: in conflict, instead of immediately responding to each point the other person makes, paraphrase their concerns to ensure you understand them correctly. For example, "I hear you saying that you feel unheard when I make decisions without consulting you. Is that right?" This demonstrates you are paying attention and validates the other person's feelings. Personal growth. In addition to building stronger relationships with others, the principles of saying less and embracing silence can significantly impact your own personal growth. The way we communicate with ourselves, our inner dialogue, can either empower us or hold us back. Learning to communicate with yourself in a thoughtful, quiet, and constructive way can lead to deeper self-awareness, improved emotional well-being, and a more fulfilling life. 1. Practicing self-compassion through silence. Many of us are quick to criticize ourselves, often filling our thoughts with negative self-talk. The power of silence lies in the ability to quiet this inner critic and replace harsh judgments with kindness and understanding. By creating a quiet space in your mind, you allow yourself to reflect without rushing to self-judgment, leading to greater emotional resilience and self-acceptance. Practical tip: when you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, pause and practice self-compassion. Instead of focusing on what you did wrong, ask yourself how you can learn from the experience and treat yourself with the same kindness you would extend to a friend. 2. Embracing mindfulness for greater clarity. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, free from distractions or judgment. By learning to quiet the mind through techniques like meditation, you can achieve greater clarity and peace. When you let go of the noise and constant chatter, you create a space for deeper self-reflection, making it easier to identify your needs, desires, and goals. This allows you to make better decisions and create a more meaningful life. Practical tip: incorporate daily mindfulness practices into your routine. Whether through meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in silence for a few minutes each day, these moments of quiet reflection help you reconnect with yourself and create a sense of balance. 3. Cultivating quiet confidence. Confidence doesn't come from being loud or brash, it often comes from quiet self-assurance. Quiet confidence is the ability to trust in yourself, your abilities, and your decisions without needing external validation or attention. It's about being secure in who you are and knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to others. This self-assurance allows you to approach life with calmness, focus, and clarity. Practical tip: to cultivate quiet confidence, take small actions that affirm your abilities. Reflect on past successes, even small ones, and celebrate your achievements. Embrace silence as a way to recharge, think deeply, and maintain your inner peace. Conclusion: the quiet path to deeper connection and personal fulfillment. The principles of saying less and using silence are powerful tools that can transform not just the way you communicate with others, but also how you relate to yourself. In your personal life, embracing quiet, thoughtful communication allows you to build stronger relationships, resolve conflicts with grace, and foster personal growth. Through active listening, nonverbal cues, and the strategic use of silence, you can create more meaningful connections with your loved ones, build trust, and enhance your overall well-being.